Hello, everyone. Suha here, your canine rearing and relationship coach. And in this video, I'm going to talk to you as concisely as I can about what we call the way of life logic. The way of life logic is about how we think about dogs, how we think about their behavior, and how we think about changing that behavior. And we do things quite differently from the mainstream that tends to be focused on conditioning and training the dogs into behaving differently. So let me walk you through the 5-step logic of the way of life method. Step number 1, where does behavior come from? In the mainstream thinking, we tend to attribute behavior to the dog primarily, the dog's background, the dog's breed, the dog's past, whether the dog is a rescue and experienced trauma. But with the way of life method, we wear an attachment hat. We carry an attachment perspective on behavior, not a reinforcement perspective. We are driven primarily in understanding behavior by understanding and evaluating the quality of a dog's relationships with that dog's primary attachment figures. In other words, the dog's owners or parents or guardians or whatever is the word that works best for you. You see what I'm saying? Okay. So idea number 2 is, how do I improve the quality of that attachment? How do I improve this relationship that is between me and my dog, me being that dog's primary attachment figure? And we know without a doubt that the key to a quality, healthy relationship with our dog that results in healthy behavior in our dog is in what we call way of life, the day-to-day decisions that we make about our dog and how we manage our dog and how we handle our dog and how this dog is dealt with 24/7. I tell my clients all the time, it's what you're doing when you're not training. It's what you're doing when you're not in the sporting arena. What does that life look like? How are you handling your dog? How are you dealing with that dog? Okay. So step number 3, if we're talking about way of life, then automatically now we've expanded the scope from training to raising a dog, from training for skill to raising a dog for character and attitude. Now, I'm in sport, many of you are in sport, and we know that to teach our dogs to do certain things, whether it's in obedience, scent work, protection work, herding, whatever, there are skills that a dog needs to learn. And training is the appropriate way of teaching a dog skills and behaviors. But training is limited in instilling character and attitude in our dogs. And if I want an attitude of dealing with life with confidence, not having separation anxiety, not reacting to other dogs or people in our neighborhood, that is less a question of skill and more a question of attitude, more a question of character. And how do I build character? Through the way of life. Okay. And there are 3 character traits that we focus on in the way of life method. And we believe strongly that anything that you want in your dog, whether you want the dog social, whether you want the dog to have manners, whether you want the dog to be friendly, let's say, if that's what you want, it's hard to achieve those things unless you have a foundation of the dog being sound, strong, and spirited. So let me talk very quickly about what we mean by these character traits that we develop through the way of life. Sound means the dog is balanced, steady, thoughtful. They're the opposite of reactive. They're mentally healthy. Okay. Strength means independence, the capacity to deal with the ups and downs of our crazy life in this 21st century, our stressed, busy lives. Strong dogs can deal with those. Strong dogs can stay at home while we're gone. Strong dogs can deal with people and other dogs invading their space, without reacting, without being overly affected. They can deal with the noises of this modern existence. Okay. Spirited means happy, joyful, not afraid to be who they are, not afraid to push boundaries. They have a sense of adventure. Sound, strong, and spirited is what we work for. And like I said, those are not character traits that can be developed through training, but they can only be instilled through your way of life. Element number 4 is that if we're talking about rearing, if we're talking about raising, then we think here about parenting our dogs through developmental stages, and we work in stages with the way of life. So anyone who's getting started with us, we're starting at stage one. Stage one is childhood. Stage one is the juvenile stage. And it's so powerful when we go back to those basics with our dogs. It gives our relationship with them a powerful reset. Stage two is the adolescent stage, or what we call exposure. Stage three is the adult stage, or what we call integration. And we humans, we raise our kids through those three stages from childhood to adolescence to adulthood, as do just about any animals in nature that raise their young. They raise them from being infants to being independent adults. And that is also what we do in the Way of Life method, is that we work in stages. Idea number 5 is understanding the pillars of the Way of Life method. And in addition to your stage, there are 4 pillars to what our way of life is about. What is the way of life? It includes the attitude and mindset of the dog's guardians and primary attachment figures, how they see the dog, how they relate to the dog, the thoughts and feelings that they have about their dogs. I cannot tell you how powerful these are. They create a psychological climate for the dog that is going to impact the dog's behavior inevitably. Okay. The second pillar or third pillar is our approach to space and boundaries, how we manage space and boundaries inside and outside the home. The next one is our approach to socialization, our socialization methodology. The final element is our commitment to developing drives in our dogs, our commitment to enhancing, strengthening, giving a home for harnessing, channeling our dog's natural tendencies, our dog's inherited drives and motivations, if you will. Okay? So, to sum this up again, idea number 1 in the Way of Life logic, where do behaviors come from? They come from the quality of a dog's attachments and relationships to the primary people in that dog's life. So in other words, instead of having a reinforcement or conditioning or training perspective, our perspective is driven by evaluating a dog's attachments, the quality of a dog's attachments. Idea number 2, how do I improve that attachment? How do I strengthen my bond and my relationship with my dog through the way of life? Idea number 3 is that if we're talking about way of life now, we're going beyond training and we're thinking about raising our dog. Raising means instilling character traits. And what are the character traits that we work for? Sound, strong, and spirited. Idea number 4, again related to this notion that we're focused on rearing as opposed to training, is that we work through stages. Stage 1, childhood. Stage 2, adolescence. Stage 3, adulthood. Okay. And idea number 5 is, what is way of life all about? What are the pillars of the way of life? They include the stage that we're in, our relationship and mindset and attitude towards our dog, our approach to managing space and boundaries, our approach to socialization, and our commitment to developing a dog's inherited and innate drives and tendencies. Stay tuned for the next video in which I will dive more deeply into those elements: relationship and mindset, socialization, space and boundaries, drive development. I will talk about those in greater detail in the next video. Thank you for paying attention and for being with us, and bye for now.